Well, you definitely have to know the history and the topography of this area in question, and you need to understand that the difference does go, the division does extend an extenuating limit here. You know, the boundaries have been exceeded. And if you just tuning in, even you don't remember 9/11, you don't remember 2001 September 11th. I mean, you really are out of your depths here. You've exceeded your boundaries in understanding in the situation. It's a very serious miscalculation. So we had to send our mystical. We had to get authority to send them to the area and to be there for these civilian populations. We did verify, these media reports about, what took place on Saturday. We do find, some of those, not every single one, but actually a number of them, to be, fabricated, unfortunately. Okay, and I will give a brief example. If you take a CNN report, and they are reporting in Gaza, and they are reporting in the, let's say, Shamran, okay, where these atrocities took place. In Gaza, every day they're reporting, you literally can see the medical center and who is being rushed into the medical center. And you see very small, corpses being carried on. You see the blood on those corpses. And when they're showing the deceased, they will actually have, and it's all over social media, so this is not something new, they will also have the smaller rather than the larger corpses wrapped up in white. We don't see that when you show the supposed atrocities that you claim. We see grown folks being carried on, and we see that, and we also see them wrapped up, but we don't see the smaller version of that. And that is definitely what the first red sign is there. The next thing is that to have, someone come into your home and literally execute you in your home without warning, it is unacceptable in Quran, in Sunnah of the Quran. That thing there is, unacceptable. That I will say. However, the response, has been sufficed for all of this bombardment of 2 million. Unacceptable. How many days you cutting off food? You cutting off, electricity? You cutting off water? You're cutting off gas? You're claiming, this to be some form of species that is a combination of animals somehow? You show a map in the United Nations that this will be changed. In other words, you're going to level, this will not even be here. So again, there also the propaganda is steaming too high. It seems as if you're intentionally trying to level out this place so that you can somehow justify exterminating people. Where are they going to go to? You have the border with Egypt closed. You have the border with Egypt closed. You're not even allowing humanitarian aid to go through Egypt and get to the people. So we have to stand with the people. That's why we are the People Republic of the Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. You have done suffice in damaging and leveling. You know how many people you displaced. Just how many innocent lives have you displaced in your 4 or 5 days of bombardment? And by the way, if it's not a setup, then it's a trap. then it's a very serious trap. If they sent in 1,500, this is what they're claiming, this is the thing, on social media and on the news. You paraglided or, by air and by sea and by land, and you breached over 27 to 33 places. In fact, you were breached so many times that you don't even know how many times and where you were breached. You've shown us the land. You've said how they paraglided in, but you still did not give us clear points and how they got in through the naval barricade that you have there on a regular basis. You still haven't clarified the sea part. We got the land. Okay, you say tunnels, you say they're broken with bulldozers. Tell us about the sea. What's going on? So that means that there is, in fact, some intelligence not being shared with, us. Israel should know, not just, really the world needs to know. That's the point. The entire world needs to know the truth and the reality of the situation. You have to know the history. You have to know who are in charge of making certain decisions. See, so the point of the matter still comes to, if it's a trap. First of all, you don't know how your intelligence failed you. You're claiming it to be a failure of imagination. A failure of imagination. Failed imagination. Okay, fine. Now you got 300 and some odd thousand reservists, and they're at 3 different separate borders. You're admitting that these fighters know the terrain better than you. That's number 2. First, they breach your intelligence. Then you're committing to a ground force into an area, a ground that they know better than you. You're admitting to that. Finally, however they surprised you on Saturday, that caused you to bomb for 4 days and lay a siege, depriving the population of the basic necessities as you bomb them. Do you really believe that's the solution to something that happened on Saturday to never happen again? Do you really believe that? And that is the saddest point of all of this. Whether it was a setup or whether it was a real deal that some players got together who nobody is clarifying for at this time. And was it today or just yesterday, Egypt said we told America about it 3 days in advance. Or we told Israel 3 days. Somebody was told, and America is already changing its story too. America is changing its story, yeah? So these are the type of politics that we're saying no to. Enough is enough. Why is it that we have to send aid all over the world to fund wars when we got so many wars we should be fighting right here in the United States of America? We need to make sure that no poor, destitute, needy person is walking around these grounds, particularly our indigenous who have already suffered and been deprived of a basic identity. You still have not compensated us for that. Why the heck is it that you feel it is correct to spend so many billions of dollars? Let's count it. Let's go back to Desert Storm. How much did you actually put into Desert Storm, and how much was the return? Then you get from Desert Storm, no, serious, let's think about it. Then you went into Afghanistan. For how many years? But excuse me, before you did that, don't forget you bombed Afghanistan, you bombed Sudan, okay, in 1997 or 98. People tend to forget about that. Prior to that, you bombed Libya. Libya was bombed back in the 80s. Let's not forget about that. All the time in which, obviously, Palestine does not exist to most of the nations in the world. When you go to the United Nations, the reason why Palestine has been failing so many times legally, which is another big setup, Arab nations don't want to come together on that, is because of the fact that most United Nations members deny the state of Palestine. That's what needs to be made a difference. But going forward, let's just make sure. After Afghanistan, you went into Iraq right away. You remained in both places until we had what we had with Barack Obama coming and saying to bring troops, shift them over to Iraq. Or no, sorry, take them over to Afghanistan, putting them over to Afghanistan. So until today, you still have a presence in Syria, in Iraq. U.S. presence is over 120 countries around the world. And for sure, if you just took all of the funds that you put in these wars, this Afghanistan, this Iraq, Ukraine, I mean, don't get me started on how much money Ukraine, okay, is entitled to, all right?